What's up, guys? This is Frankie Caputo, and this is the Dancing Eyes podcast. No, your eyes or ears are not deceiving you. This is a new episode of the Dancing Eyes podcast. It's September 5th. I haven't released an episode since December of last year. Time flies, man. In that run of the podcast, we were doing 2 episodes a month. I'm going to start doing 1 episode a month because I don't want to not post at all. And I think that 1 episode a month is pretty reasonable. I want to do the first Monday of every month. Today's not Monday, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to decide to do the first Monday of every month. So, yeah. I'm sorry that I've been gone. I got busy. I started doing a lot of other things. I got a new job, and I'm saving up money to move. I've been doing a lot of stand-up comedy recently. That's been taking up a lot of my time and energy. And yeah, but I'm missing the podcast, and I don't want to leave the podcast for too long. So we're back, and I'm excited to post this episode. This episode was actually recorded back in December. I meant to post this episode back in December, and it never was released. This is an episode with Kilo. I actually met her on Instagram. But she also submitted a request to be on the podcast, and you could submit that through Jotform, and that's also a link in the description of the podcast. So if you want to be a guest on the podcast, just click on that link, and it's going to ask you some questions. Just answer those questions. And yeah, I'm a little congested right now. I'm sorry. And ironically, I'm also during the filming of this podcast. Back in December, I actually had COVID, and to me, when I look back at the episode and edit it, it's pretty obvious that I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize for that. I didn't want to have COVID, but I did have COVID, so yeah, just a little heads up, I did have COVID during this episode, but it's a good episode nonetheless. I'm happy to share it with you guys. I'm happy to be back again, and I'm looking forward to bringing back the Dancing Eyes podcast. Man, this is super exciting to me. So yeah, with all that being said, welcome back. I'm happy to see you guys again. This is episode 26. I hope you enjoy. If you enjoy the podcast, press the like button, hit the subscribe button, or you really don't have to. It's cool if you don't do it too. I don't care. I'm not going to find out if you don't do it. So yeah, anyway, here it is. Enjoy the podcast. Oh, and real quick, I forgot to mention this, but as I was going through the podcast and editing it, I realized that the audio and that the video is very much not synced up at all. I don't know why this is happening, but I can't fix it for this episode. Unfortunately, I already tried. It's something wrong with the recording software, but I'm going to make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future. So I apologize for anybody who's watching the video and is like, why is her voice like 3 seconds behind the video? Because I know it looks weird. I apologize for that, but I'm gonna work on it. We're gonna get better. And yeah, all right, once again, enjoy the podcast. Bye. You're the first. Are you called pole dancers? Is that the name of the occupation?
Pole dancer, pole instructor, pole performer.
Okay, well, you're the only one that I've spoken to on the podcast so far, so that's pretty neat. So you instruct and you compete, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Many years now. Many years.
How many years?
I've been polling for about 11 years,
Okay.
and I have been teaching for over 8 years and competing over 5 years now.
Okay. What's the competition like?
It varies. It depends on the organization because pole is like an observation to be part of the Olympics. So depending on the pole organization, one of the ones that I'm huge in is called Pole Sport Organization, or PSO for short. They do multiple levels. So level one is like, I'm brand new to the pole world. I have no clue what I'm doing. I can only touch it from here, and that's it. And then level 5 is like the crazy, where I'm at, where like we do all the crazy flips, the tumbles, the crazy drops, like less than 2 points of contact means maybe just 2 hands on and that's it, or no hands at all. And I'm going sideways. And it goes from entertainment to dramatic to exotic to floor work. Championship is what I call the fine tooth comb, where it's like extremely technical. You have to have good lines, got to hold the poses, execution's got to be dead on. to I just want a pole buddy and we're gonna do stuff together. So it ranges. And then there's one called USPSF, United States Pole Sport Federation. They're the huge one that I'm goal is to get into next year. And what happens is when we go to nationals, if we qualify, we go overseas and compete against like China,
Whoa.
Germany, Russia. We do like a huge competition and they're strict. So they're like kind of like, we need to know about how far in the song you're going to execute this move. And it has to be just like it is, or you lose points.
It's intense.
Yeah. So it's kind of dependent on what your cup of tea is. And for a lot of people, they stick with the smaller competitions. I'm crazy. I want the big one. I love challenges, despite how life is. I want challenges, and that's one of the ones I've been going for about 5 years or so before I even got injured. Like it was one of my goals.
Okay. So you're going to shoot for it next year?
Goal is next year. Goal is next year.
Okay.
And I even talked to my husband. He's like, so that means you're going to have to give up your little EDVD competitions to train for the big one. And I kind of, right? It is, but at the same time, I'm like, but I like my little ones. They're fun. I get to go see my friends and stuff and go see other people I don't get to see very often.
Right.
So it's kind of like
it's more of it's almost like a get together with your buddies and like people that you've competed with in the past. You get to see everybody again.
Oh yeah, and I love watching them on the sidelines because we all cheer each other on. So I'm like, yes, yes. And there's one girl that I'm really close to that's up in Tennessee, and every time she comes down, I always see her in Atlanta and I always see her in North Carolina when she comes for competitions. And I love her to pieces. And when I first met her, I was like, I thought you were a particular personality until I got to know you because the competitor switch was flipped. She had to have it turned on. And when I finally got to talk to her and speak with her, I was like, why are we not friends? It's like, we're too much alike.
So how did you get into it? You said you started 11 years ago. What made you figure to get into it?
So randomness, someone mentioned pole and I was like, what? And I'm in a southern state. So, kind of like how the taboo is, oh my gosh, you shouldn't be doing that. That's kind of how it is out here a little bit for us. And I heard someone do it, like mention pole, and I was like, what? So I started researching because I kind of got a little interested. I was like, okay, is this what I think it is? And I met it with someone in her apartment and I started learning lessons and haven't stopped since then. It was just a random.
Pole in the apartment?
She had a pole in the apartment. I mean, I have one here in my house as well. So,
I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know you could do it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
Cool. So you met up with her in her apartment. She started giving you lessons, and you just got hooked.
Oh yeah. Literally after the first lesson, I was like, I didn't realize how much strength it took to do it. And
is it upper body strength? You gotta like hold yourself up, or
so many things. And I always make a joke. The first time doing it, I went to go do a spin and it felt like someone took a knife and stabbed it in my side, turned it and left it. Oh, and I was like, there's a muscle there? Yeah. I didn't do anything growing up. Like I tried tennis. Like didn't make it through that. Like went through practice season. Right as the season was about to start for high school, I was like, nope, I'm out. I don't want to do this. Never got to do any gymnastics or dance as a kid. So nothing. So I was like, I can build strength on this. Why not?
Right. And it doesn't require very good vision either.
No, that's why I love it. Because with a lot of sports, you have to be, I'm going to use, like tennis and football and all that stuff, for example. You can see the object coming towards you. Um, no, thank you. Even with glasses, sometimes I don't see it coming at me. With pole, I know my apparatus, it's not moving. It'll move because it spins, but it's not moving.
Oh, they spin?
They can go on spin pole. Yep,
Okay.
they can go. So it's stationary, but it's on spin. And
Gotcha.
and that actually for years had messed me up on spin. So because of my vision,
I feel
it
like that
kind of
messed my eyes up. It'd make my
yeah,
nystagmus go crazy.
it like it messes with my equilibrium.
Right.
So I'm like spinning, and so if I had to learn over the years how to trick myself to feel more comfortable on spin, and just like any person, you have good days and bad days. So some days spin is really bad. Some days I can go out, I can do it for hours and be okay.
How do you trick
But
yourself?
it's like finding my focal points while I'm doing it. And, for some people, the saying of like a dog in a car, don't watch the poles as it's, driving by. So don't do this. For me, for some reason, I concentrate looking on the pole, which is what you're not supposed to do in competitions. But if I'm looking at the object, I'm usually okay.
Okay.
Um, and if I look back for a moment, I kind of like reset myself and I'm good. But the moment I look down and spin,
Makes
that's where
sense.
it kind of messes with me. So I've had to kind of like trick my mind to like not realize that I'm spinning.
Right. That makes sense. That makes
Mhm.
sense. How bad were you when you first started?
Oh,
Everyone's bad at things when they start, you know?
I got rid of most of the evidence. I was a massive train wreck. I always tell people when I started, I had four left feet. I think it progressed to two left feet now, but I can dance with the pole. I can't dance without it. And if I dance without it, I'm an adult. I'm over the age of 21. So there's usually a little something that helps with that. But calm the nerves, it helps.
Okay.
But it it definitely was a massive train wreck when I first started.
When did you
So
start seeing some improvement?
probably within the first 6 months, I think my husband was like, huh. And I was like, what? He goes, I can kind of see a little difference in your cheeks. And I was like, oh. And it was getting easier for me to climb up the pole. Like I was able to start pulling myself up more. It wasn't hurting as bad with my core, going through certain movements. It is just like slowly progressing. But the fact that I could climb to the top and I was learning how to climb to 14 feet eventually, and I
Oh,
can get to the
wow.
top and back down and not feel winded. And it was great. And one of the events I went to is called PoleCon, so International Pole Convention. And many years ago, when I first started, there was the thing called the Hall of Games. One of them was how fast can you get to the top of the pole, down to the floor, and back up in 60 seconds? I got 9 climbs. 9 climbs.
Jesus.
A 14-foot pole in 60 seconds. Now, my friend Brandon beat us because there was a me and another girl, we were tied. He beat us with 12 in 60 seconds. So I'm just like,
See, I didn't
here's
even
your
have anything to
Brandon.
compare it to, but it sounds impressive. There's no way I'd be able to do that. Absolutely not.
Ah, yeah, you can. I always tell everyone, I was
Nine.
like, I can get anyone to climb a pole. I can get anyone to spin on it. I can get anyone on a pole.
I could climb it. I don't think I could do it 9 times in 60 seconds, though.
Oh, I ain't gonna lie, it killed me, but
Yeah.
it was worth it. It was worth it. Um, so I always kind of challenge my kids, and it's like, I don't want you to go up as many times as I did. I don't want you to do that, but I want to see how quick you can, climb. Like take 2 climbs. How fast can you do it?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, we're gonna practice till you feel like you can be faster at it. And so do it slow, do it low, build it up, build it up. And then I was like, okay, let's do 3 climbs. and I'll challenge them like a few weeks later. I was like, okay, how fast can you go for 3 climbs? So I kind of, trick my kids slowly.
Work them up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You could see, you started 11 years ago. You started teaching, I think it was 8 years ago, right? And
Yeah.
then competing 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So you could see like the gradual increase in your confidence in your abilities there. Like for you to just start something and then now you're teaching it just 3 years after beginning it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and I got certified in it, and then I got certified in other various things like boot camp training, yoga training, things like that. I just went crazy. Like pole kicked me into my fitness regimen because for me, pole was the main reason why I got into it was for fitness, was for weight loss, was for weights, for the
Mm,
strength training. And then I followed, and then obviously the other factors of watching videos and going, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And you're wrapping yourself around a piece of metal and then you made it look effortless.
right.
It just kind of kept me in more and more.
Why do you think there's such a stigma to pole dancing?
It's it's part of our history, and there's nothing wrong with that being part of our history, but it's with the adult entertainment side.
Mm-hmm.
Most people hear the word pole, they automatically try to defer it as a negative for aka strippers and or sex workers. I'm like, no offense guys, but if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have pole like it is now. I mean, it's our part of our history, and everyone always kind of sees it toward and they see stripping as a negative, and I'm like, I'm sorry, let's kind of reel this back. I would not feel comfortable doing that, but that's me personally. Do you know how much guts it takes to go on stage at night and hustle? And, I'm like, I respect them for that. I was like, mad props because I can't hustle. I am not a hustler. I am a jokester, not a hustler.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't hustle unless my hustle was cracking jokes with you the whole time and you'd pay me for it.
Imagine you just on the pole, just cracking jokes the whole time.
Oh, I mean, they would I would ask for a mic for that too, and be like, "Let me drop the mic, drop." So but to me, that's where most of the negativity comes from,
Mm-hmm.
is from the adult industry side.
Okay.
And I mean, obviously, when my mother found, I told my mother I was doing pole. I didn't get a chance to tell my dad because my dad passed before I had a chance to tell him. And I don't think he would have approved because I'm the only girl and I'm the baby, and I had 3 older brothers growing up. So I feel like he would have definitely disapproved of it. And my dad's originally from New York.
Mm-hmm.
He was born in New York.
Same.
Yeah. So, but he was raised here in the South. So my mother was born here in the South and raised in the South. And so when I told her what I did, she did have like everyone's first response, like, uh, what? What are you damn? No, no, mama, no, mama, no, 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 mama. Let me show you what I do. And she actually sat in one of my classes that I taught. And she's like, I'm highly impressed. So she's like, you took what I thought and completely flipped it. And she goes, and I see how, confident these girls are when they're learning from you, how much fun they're having. She goes, baby girl, she goes, I'm behind you 100%.
Nice.
So, and she would always watch my competition videos. And I'm like, hey, mom, it's on YouTube. Let me throw it to you real quick. She's like, that was beautiful. I said, well, do you want to see so and so? Nope. She's like, don't care for them. I want to watch your
Just
stuff.
want to see you.
Just want to see you. So,
You should
she
send me
would,
some of the competition videos. I can link it in the
okay,
podcast.
I will do that.
Cool. Cool.
But yeah.
So let's talk about your nystagmus a little bit.
Okay.
Obviously, it impacts us a lot, especially in our childhood. For me and for a lot of my previous guests, how did it impact you in your childhood? Oh, you know it's gonna be good when you answer with a
uh,
laugh.
so, well, I let's be honest, I hated it growing up. Hated it. I would cry about it. I would look at my parents going, "Why did y'all do this to me?"
Mm.
I inherited mine from my father. So my father had it. So um so growing up, I was born in the 80s. I'm not telling you the year, but I was born in the 80s. Um Immediately had to wear glasses from the start. And I'm talking about those big old huge plastic, super thick,
I got the Harry Potter glasses.
gosh, like 10 times thicker and bigger than those. I mean, I felt like I was wearing a plexiglass thing on my face growing up. Um, it
And
was
there's
it
no
was
way that brought any attention towards you.
ever.
Absolutely not. That'd be ridiculous.
I being stuck, like I had to sit in the front of the classroom. That draws attention
Mm.
all the time because I had no choice. Even with glasses on, I struggled to kind of see the board, the chalkboard back then, to see it. So I got stuck in the front wearing those glasses, you know, trying to do certain things. And I'm like, can't, I can't see what you're talking about. And so therefore, the older you get, it gets worse. But I didn't realize this as an adult. But when I talk, my focal point is different because with nystagmus, we all have a focal point. Mine is I have to tilt the chin up and I look like I'm looking down. So I used to get picked on. Are you snooty? I would have to tilt my head to look at people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got picked on that. Are you this? Are you that? Are you do it? It was bad. And then obviously middle school was worse. You
Dude,
could,
middle school children are disgusting. Oh my
they're
god,
very vicious.
awful.
They're very vicious. They say mean things. So I got called so many things. You know, are you this? Are you that? What is it you can't see? You bug eyes, four eyes, freak, you know, all that stuff.
Why are they so mean?
Oh no.
Why is it all of them too?
Oh no. I always have to like as an adult, I'm like, they're just trying to figure out who they are. They're just trying to figure out who they
Well,
are. They're
hindsight
trying to
helps a
fit
lot.
in.
Yeah,
They're trying to fit in with everyone. I mean, we all try to do stupid stuff to fit in as a kid. I gave up after a certain point. That's why
yeah.
I still pull. Um,
I think people
High
with
school.
nystagmus, I think we kind of have a tendency to stop trying to fit in a little younger than other people because it's like we already know we're different, right? Like there's
Mhm.
only so much trying to fit in that we can do before we're like, it's just not gonna happen. We're different. Our eyes are
Yeah.
different. We're just a little different. So we're gonna be more of ourselves as opposed to the general public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because of that too, I didn't get a lot of friends because of my eyes. People were like, ugh, so sleepovers didn't hardly happen. Birthday parties didn't. I didn't get invited to a lot of stuff because of it, because how cruel they are. Um, Come high school, you know, it was half and half. I was an outcast, which was fine. I didn't mind it. I didn't have to worry about fitting into social groups. And a lot of the friends that did gain, they were intrigued by nystagmus. They thought it was cool.
Mm.
Funny joke is technically that's how I got my husband.
How'd
He's
that
like,
happen?
um, we had the same social group, but we never talked. And so, he kind of told me like we started talking. He's like, I just love your eyes. And I was like, huh? He goes, so what is it? Like, I'm intrigued. Like, he was actually legitimately like, I want to know what it is. Are you doing that? Or is it automatic? Like, he was asking questions. And I was like, who are you? And who's someone actually legitly cared and was curious. And he's like, I love it. I love your dancing eyes. And I was like, oh, okay. So
That's one
that's
way to win our hearts.
yeah. So that's since 2001.
Nice.
So
That
I
was I it's funny how like your significant other kind of got into a relationship with you by being genuinely interested in in your eyes, because
mhm.
my best friend George, that's kind of how we got, how we became friends. Is he was just, first off, he saw my eyes. He was showing me a meme and he saw my eyes going crazy because I was trying to focus on it. And he's
Oh
like,
yeah.
dude, stop doing that with your eyes. Like, you're really creeping me out. And I was like, hey, I was born with a thing. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, no, I can't control it. But so once he realized that I wasn't doing it on purpose, then it was just genuine curiosity and just a bunch of questions, which I think a lot of people with nystagmus, not all of us, but a lot of us are more than happy to kind of answer questions if they're coming from a good place. Like if it's just genuine curiosity and like you
Yeah.
don't have an ulterior motive, you're not trying to make anybody laugh, but you're just
Yeah.
curious. It's like, yeah, I'm more than happy to answer questions.
Yeah. And a couple of my friends didn't really catch that I had it because they didn't care. And I was like, y'all don't care? That's so sweet. In, years later, I ran into some people that were in my high school class and I posted on one of my Instagrams, I have nystagmus, I have congenital, this is what it is, this is what my eyes do, this is why my focal point is different, where I have to tilt up because this is where my eyes work less than in trying to look forward head on where they work more. I was like, because of this, it's neurological, blah, blah, blah. And one of my friends kind of commented, he goes, I never knew you had that in high school. And I'm sorry people made your life hell. And I was like, oh, thanks, dude. That was sweet of you.
Thanks,
But
man.
he's like, I never knew you had it. He goes, I think it's cool. He goes, because you are different. He's like, I always thought you were different. You never fitted in with us anyways. And now that I know you have that, that makes you even more special. And I was like, you got a plus in my books, man. You got a plus in my books. Thank you. So
When did you discover that you had a null point? Like when did you, for me, for example, I didn't really know until I saw myself in pictures, until other people said something.
so I kind of like felt like I always kind of like, okay, like always done that, even in school, like trying to concentrate. And I never understood why I did that because I always saw everyone looking forward. I'm just like,
Mm.
and everyone thinks I'm bored. I'm like, no, I'm not bored. I'm trying to like look,
That's
you
the
know?
same movement that I do, by the way.
Oh, really?
Back up. Yeah.
So I didn't really know. So obviously, curiosity, because nystagmus about over 30, 40 years ago, we didn't have the information that we have now. So I did some researching, found out that was my focal point because, for some people, everyone's focal point's different. For me, that what mine was. And I didn't realize it till I researched. And this is just like random articles and then following, I think, was it National Nystagmus Society or something like that on Instagram.
Oh,
I
was it
kind of
the
follow.
American Nystagmus Network?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes,
Boom.
something like yeah, I
Former
follow them.
sponsor.
Oh, so I found them and started following them. And I was like, this is cool. That's how I found out. I think like June 22nd is National Nystagmus Day.
Something
Like,
like that. Yeah.
yeah, or June 20th or June
One
22nd.
of those June days. Yeah.
One of them is pink. One of them is a pink day. And one of them is nystagmus. So that's all I can remember. Because I'm June 26th. So I'm just like,
Oh, is
hey.
that's your birthday?
So
Oh,
I kind of remember a little bit of the dates.
I'm
Um,
July 4th. You're like 10
yeah.
days ahead of me, something like that.
Cancers. Yes.
Yeah.
Hits the personalities. Makes a lot more sense now. Um, yeah, so I found them, did more research, kind of figure out because I didn't know, like I knew mine was from birth, but I didn't know the terminology for it. And I didn't realize the stymos eye movement can vary because mine's the perpendicular, where it can also go up and down. and then some have it where it alternates.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know that until I researched. It's like, and
So your
I've been
doctor never, you never like diagnosed with it when you were younger?
he knew I had it, but he never like they told me I had it, but they never gave me any more information on it. Like
Huh.
you just have this. And
Did
when
he
my
give you
husband,
any restrictions? Like, did he ever tell you like, hey, you're not going to be able to drive, or you're going to have difficulty in school? None of that.
well, um, if he told my mother, she didn't tell me.
Hmm.
But the only thing I do remember is I was like, my mom was like, "You're just gonna have to sit in front from now on in class. Like you have no choice. You're gonna have to sit in front row." And I'm like, "Not gonna do that in high school. Sorry, mom. Not doing that in high school. I'll sit where I need to be." Because I was able to listen in high school and catch more.
Okay.
And I was one of those when it came to watching the math teacher do the problem one time on the board, I instantly knew how to do it. So I kind of learned how to like
You think
learn
that
on my
having
own.
poor vision kind of made you better in that sense? Like, I'm going to get better at memorizing what he's saying. I'm going to get better at hearing, so I don't have to see it.
Yeah, because when it comes to vision test, you want to make sure you have an eye doctor who knows to switch the lines every time
Oh
between
my god.
eye.
That's
I didn't say
hilarious.
that, did I?
Definitely not.
No.
Oh.
But I've learned like to like quickly remember things and know my placement because even like at home I know my layout of my house when I was a kid. I live in a house very similar to what I grew up in. So I automatically knew the layout when we moved into this house. I was like, I already know where everything is. My husband was like, and so when we lose power, it's pitch black in here because I'm like almost in the woods. And he's like, how did you know where to move in this house? I was like, it's similar to what I grew up in. So growing up in the same layout, I know how to move in here. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one who moves the furniture, so I know where everything's at.
That's such a common thing that I'll hear from guests is they know where everything in their house is. Even if the lights are off, they can get wherever they want. I think Chad said it, Eric said it, man, everybody said it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's one of our instincts because the old saying, if one of your senses is weak, the others are stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn how to listen quickly, how to memorize quickly, like feel quickly because I can't see.
Yeah.
So it just made things
And you could
interesting.
drive too, which is awesome. Were you just kind of always under the assumption that you can drive, or were you concerned at one point?
Um, I never really was well, let me take that back. I was half and half. I was like, I won't know until I go try.
Mm-hmm.
And in town here, you have two options. When you go to the DMV, obviously you can do the vision test there. I do wear prescriptions. I wear glasses. I cannot wear contacts. Cannot.
Why can't you wear contacts?
One is an eye thing. It's a freak out for me. I can't put a contact on because for me, the nystagmus, the moment I get my finger close, I know it gets super fast. I'm not going to be able to get that thing on. Two, I don't like touching my eyes. So I
Mm.
hate wearing makeup. I hate makeup
You don't like
because
getting close to the, yeah, you get all squirmy.
it took me years to trust someone to put makeup on me. And whenever they come near my eyes, it took me years. Like I had to trust someone and know them for a very long time for them to come near my eyes.
I was the exact
Because
same way with my eyes. Not with makeup. I didn't wear makeup, but but with contacts, for example, when I was 13, I tried contacts for the first time, and my mom used to put them in for me because I couldn't do
yeah.
it myself. I was too scared. She would put me back in my chair, and she would go for like an hour and a half just trying to get these lenses in my eyes because I was
Oh my
so,
God.
maybe it's an exaggeration, maybe like 30 minutes, but it felt like
But it
an
feels
hour and a
like it.
half. It felt so,
Yeah.
I was so squirmish and I hated it. And eventually I got over it. I didn't continue wearing contacts, but I hated it.
Well, I'm also kind of lazy in a way, so I would probably forget to take them out
Mm,
because I don't like I don't like wearing makeup because I also don't like taking it off either.
fair.
So it's one of those like I can put the glasses on, take them off. If it's something in emergency, glasses can come off quick. I can't get the contact out,
Hmm.
and I don't trust myself to do that. So never been able to. And because of growing up, when we had to go do vision tests, please tell me, do you remember the little air puffing machine?
Where they put it on your eye and they puff it. Yeah,
Yes.
they still do that. They still
I
do
found someone
those.
who will not do that to me because I told them because of I was like, I have nystagmus. She's like, we won't do the test then. I was like, thank you.
Nice. That's all it took.
So
Is just that's all you have to do, guys. Anybody listening, just tell them that you have nystagmus.
I have nystagmus. Please don't do that. She goes, okay,
You
you're
know,
good.
they do another thing now, by the way. So I went to go get my eyes checked a couple months ago. They don't do
Yeah.
the puff thing, but what they do now is they poke it with like a Q-tip looking thing. So it's almost kind of worse. I don't because you see it like coming up like they just like
Oh,
poke it
I
and
got so lucky.
it
I got so
sucks.
lucky. I got so lucky. I didn't have to do that.
There you
Didn't
go.
have to do that.
You just had to
Oof.
deal with the puff thing.
Ugh, that was bad. And obviously dilating your eyes and putting the drops in. See, I told you
Oh, you must have hated the drops.
I'm so eye sensitive.
Yeah.
And like indoor swimming pools, I can't be in there long. That chlorine just as soon as I walk in, instantly burns my eyes. Like
Do you
if
think any
there's
of your sensitivity, like not the chlorine stuff, but any of your like the part about like you not liking to get close to your eyes, do you think that maybe stems from the nystagmus, or do you think that that's just something that you would have had regardless?
I think it could be both
Uh huh.
because of it, I think it is I'm more sensitive because of it because I know they're constantly moving. So I'm just like anything near it, I'm like, please don't, because I don't want to like, scratch. I don't want any damage done to it. I'm like, I'm already restricted with vision. Let's not add any more complications to it. Let's try not to. Um, but with the whole back to your with the driving thing too.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah,
bringing it back.
you're back. I got you.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
So you're good. So with us here, I'm 20 over 200 without my prescriptions.
Okay.
And that is like, for a driver's license here, even with corrective lenses, the worst your vision can be is 20 over 200. And with prescription, it can be 20/40.
Okay.
I am skinning my teeth with my license.
So you're right at 2040.
Mm-hmm. When I wear prescriptions and without it, 2200.
That's almost
I'm
exactly where I am, you know. Without the glasses before I had LASIK, I was 2200, maybe 2250, but I think 2200. Corrected, I'm like 2040, 2070 to my left.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah.
See, and I'm too scared to do LASIK. And growing up, I was told because of my nystagmus, as the way my doctor explained it to me is your brain is so programmed with your vision that if we try to correct it, your brain's not going to be able to comprehend what's happening. And that's what I was told growing
And
up.
then what? An atomic bomb? Like what's going to
Like,
happen?
like your brain just not going to be able to handle the fact that it was so used to the eye movement being so rapid that it's not going to know how to process. And this is what a doctor told me as a kid. And let me back that up too. This is a doctor that I saw while my husband was active duty in the military. He's the one who told me that. And that was back in like, he was active from like '04 to '08. So between '04 and '08, I was told that I can never have any kind of eye surgery
Hmm.
because of what could possibly happen to me.
Hmm. That's a new one. I haven't heard that. I mean, I've been rejected for LASIK before. They didn't say yes on my first try. I went to like two people who said no, and then eventually somebody said yes because they had done it on somebody with nystagmus before, and it just worked out. But I've definitely been rejected for it. I can't
Well,
imagine that you would like it. I mean, I can't. They are all up on your eyes. There's no way that you would. You'd be
I,
afraid.
I'm gonna suffer and continue to using my I seeing human, um, aka the husband. Love him. He knows that. And a couple of people that, when I go out in town with or something, they know with my condition. They're like, we know not to lose you because you can't find us. I was like, thank you. So I always make the joke of I have the keys to the car. So
There
either
you go.
way, you're gonna have to come find me
You've got
if you want to go
leverage.
home.
Yeah. And you're
I
not
got smart.
you've you got some smarts there, you got some leverage, and also you're never going to be the designated driver.
Only during the daytime I am, but not
That's
nighttime.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Daytime I'm
I'm never
fine.
the designated driver is what I meant to say. I
Ah,
There you go.
I've had to be the designated before at night, and the deal was if it's here in town and I'm very comfortable with the roads, I'm willing to be the DD. If we're not in town, you can go jump a cliff.
Mm,
It ain't happening.
yeah. Because at
You can
least
pay
if
for
you're
an
in
Uber.
town, you know where you're at. You've experienced it before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I was like, and all else fails, date to the day, we have Google Maps. If
Google
I
Maps
can't
is a
figure it
game
out,
changer, isn't it? Just
it
having
has.
Siri tell you where you're at the whole time.
Oh gosh, it's so great because when you can't read street signs, it's nice. Because then I'm like, okay, all right, 40 feet, 30 feet. Okay, I'm about to, okay,
Going
look at the
now.
map. Three roads on the left, three roads on the left. One, two. There's the third road. Go. It makes the biggest, it's helped a lot with driving. So I'm like, thank you.
You think you'd be able to do it without it?
If I know where I'm at, yes. If I don't know where I'm going, I am going to panic.
Yeah.
I will trigger panic attack anxiety real fast.
Because you're doing like some long trips, from for competitions and stuff. What's the longest that you've driven for a competition?
I drove to St. Pete, Florida for actual performance gig. Um, I drove to Louisiana for performance and conventions and teaching workshops and stuff like that. So I think usually the furthest I've driven is, like I said, Louisiana, Florida, and I'm South Carolina. So I think I didn't get a chance to go to Virginia this year. Some things changed, so didn't get a
Mm.
chance to go. But you know,
Shout out to you for being on the East Coast, though. That made this really easy.
yeah,
You messaged me and you gave me like your time frame. You were like, I'm free from 1 to 3, and I was like, cool. What's your time zone? And you said
yeah,
Easter, and I was like, yes. I'm
yeah.
so like the last few people I've interviewed, they're like 12 hours in front of me, or they're just
Oh,
somewhere across the country in a different country. This is
man.
very easy.
Yay! I try to make life easy as possible
Thank you.
sometimes.
Appreciate that. Before we started recording, you were telling me that you have people who think that you're on drugs sometimes, and I want to know more
Oh,
about it because I can relate so much, and so could a bunch of my other guests, and I
oh
think
my
we want to
God.
hear about it.
So this was an incident that, you know, one definitely incident stuck out in my head. I was teaching my pole classes and I had this young lady who technically didn't come to my prerequisition class. She just kind of walked in. She's like, "Can I do this level?" And I was like, "What experience do you have? Can you tell me what you know? This is for safety. I need to know." She comes in and she's not quite the level she said she was. So I kind of had to spend a little bit more hands-on time with her to get her caught up with my other students. And, they're doing what they're doing. And, I was like, okay, I gave them something to bring it up another level. So
Mm-hmm.
they were working on that. I walked over to her and I had to obviously ask consent to touch because that's the rule. We always ask consent to touch so I can spot them. And I'm trying to help her. And she just keeps kind of looking at me weird. And I'm, I'm in teach mode. So like whatever looks you're giving to me, like judging me, I'm not paying attention to. My job is to make sure you do not get hurt and you are learning properly. Okay. So, you know, she leaves and apparently calls the studio and made a complaint about me. She goes, I was in there learning, and I think the person was on drugs. I think she was on meth or something. Her eyes just would stop moving, and I just didn't feel safe. I just don't want to come back. And at the time, the owner was like, she actually has a legit eye condition called nystagmus, and that's how her eyes are. She goes, I guarantee you, she is not on anything. She goes, so your complaint is invalid and very disrespectful to my instructor. And I was like,
Boom.
so when I got the complaint, I was like, excuse me, talking about being on drugs, she got no room to talk. I was like, I already knew she was on something when she walked in, but it wasn't something that was going to cause issues. But I could tell.
Mm.
But I was like, so don't call the kettle black if you are just, So that took me in a bad mood that day.
I bet.
I was like, in meth,
Come on.
meth, drugs. You can give me that. Something better than that or something, you know? You know, and then one random person just and I'm gonna say it, just a jerk out one night as out drinking and stuff like that. Some dude just freaking looked at me. He goes, what are you, some kind of cokehead? What's up with your eyes? I was like, oh, what's up with your dumb questioning, because you're not worth my time or breath.
So you got meth and you got coke.
Yeah.
I've gotten MDMA for sure. I've gotten ecstasy, probably meth. I've been doing stand-up, so now I would just make jokes about it. I feel like it alleviates, because now if I have to talk to the other comics or like the audience after the show, then it's like I don't have to talk about my eyes. I don't have to acknowledge why they're going crazy because I already made jokes about it. It's like I knocked two birds out with one stone. I made material, and now everybody knows about the eyes, and I don't have to explain it to anybody, and it works out.
Look, sometimes people, when they're like, why are your eyes moving so fast? I was like, because I'm jacked up on Mountain Dew, that's why. I'm a caffeine addict. I was like, I'll make jokes like that. I was like, man, do you know how much coffee I drink and monsters and energy drinks that I survive on to teach 6 to 7 hours a day teaching fitness classes? I was like, oh yeah, you gotta get jacked up on something, all right?
Those things will wire you. Those things will wire you. I had to stop drinking Red Bull. I drank an excessive amount of Red Bull and coffee. I mean, I drank maybe 3 or 4, like 3 Red Bulls a day with like 2 coffees. I didn't know it wasn't good. Nobody told me. And my heart started acting weird. Yeah. And I started having shortness of breath, and I just eliminated all the caffeine, and I went back to normal. I was like, oh, okay. It was just the 4 coffees and energy drinks a day.
Yeah, I was really bad when I was working for someone else, because now I operate my own business.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have my own studio, I teach my own classes, I operate my own schedule.
Nice.
So I don't have to be as caffeinated as I used to be. Plus the scary thing was a lot of my students were like, hey, Kilo, how many monsters have you had today? How many cups of coffee have you had today? Oh, we're going to die. It kind of got to that point. I was like, I think I'm starting to kill them. Let me cut down on caffeine so I don't kill them.
The monster energy drinks are turning me into a monster.
Pretty much. Especially when it came to like strength training classes and stuff. They're like, we're going to die. She's had too much to drink and caffeine. We're going to die. She's going to scream bloody murder at the top of her lungs. 200! Damn me, fuck! Like,
she's gonna make us go up the poles 1,000 times in a minute.
Like, for a minute. Damn. Who pissed Kilo off today?
That's funny. That's
This
funny.
was one of the jokes. But I had to cut back on caffeine, so I feel you on that. This is only cup number 2 today. I only have one when I'm working, like at my civilian job, as I call it, or fully clothed job is the other joke about it. Um, fully clothed, professional clothes. I drink like 1 cup. But when I'm home, working from home for the day or teaching like 4, maybe like 3 classes or
Do
something,
you
I
teach from home?
usually
Is that where they, or do you have a
um
studio somewhere?
so I'm interested. I do teach in-home privates. I do pop-up classes right now because I'm working on getting my final location done. So it's that whole going through, found a place. Is this contract gonna work? Is there any stipulations? Ooh, ain't gonna work. I'm in that process right now of my final location. So I do pop-up classes. So I have portable stage poles that I have to transport, and those things weigh 210 pounds each. And I transport 4 of them.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta stay fit for this job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My husband is the roadie of the business. He's fine with that. He's like, I'm here to support you. He's like, I will be your roadie. And I taught him how to help me put the equipment together and break it down pretty fast. And that's the other thing is too, everyone's like, you just know how to break this up. And I was like, I know how my equipment feels. I know how quick to put it together. I set it up. So I mark my stuff. I'm like, boom, 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 put it up, put it down. And they're like, and the funny thing is, back to the vision part, is when I'm teaching, if my students are sliding, I can see them sliding, which is weird. Because I'm like, how can you see us sliding, but you can't? I was like, something about that natural instinct I have of teaching and doing pole for so long, I can see things that you'd be surprised I can see because that's my life, that's my world.
Yeah, being visually impaired can do that sometimes, right? Because we're not totally blind, but sometimes we see things that are surprising. Like even I'm surprised that I could see that. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They get amazed, and my husband kind of loves taking me to haunts because I am a huge Halloween person, hence like the skull reef and all that stuff. My kitchen and dining room is like red and black. Um, but when we go to haunts, because my peripheral, like I can't see past a certain point, they'll try to come up here and I don't see them. So they never scare me. I never get scared in haunts because they'll come out and like during the fog room, you'll see that hand kind of come across, and I'm just like walking through, and they do it, and I'm just like not even phased because I'm
Come
like,
at me,
oh,
bro. I can't even see you, man. You can't
so
scare me.
nope. And with the rated R ones, we have to sign a waiver where they can touch us and stuff like that.
Oh
They'll
hell
come.
no! I'm never doing that. That sounds
Oh
awful.
no, it's actually, see, I told you I'm twisted. It's actually
Just a
fun for
little
me.
bit. Yeah.
A little bit. They'll come up behind me, and like one year, one girl grabbed my hair and pulled me back.
No.
And my husband and our my best friend, who's like a brother to me, I just yelled at one, I'll see you in a little bit.
That
And I
sounds
just pulled,
to me like the only thing that I like about the haunted houses is that they can't touch me. I'm fine if they can't touch me, but if they could touch me, like I might throw hands. I might swing.
I thought so too, but it's because they can only touch you a certain way. You're actually pretty good.
They pulled your hair. That's
I
that's a
mean,
tough way to get touched.
yes and no, depends on the person. Uh,
That would scare the shit out of me. I had long hair. I had long hair just a few months ago. If somebody grabbed my hair, I would have
nah, man.
done karate.
But see, I also learned because I'm in the haunt, I know it's going to happen, so I
Yeah.
anticipate it. So I'm a little bit more cautious. Now, random some person on the back, like random on the street, someone comes behind me and pulls my hair and pulls my head down.
Right.
Oh, I'm going for it.
Oh yeah.
I'm immediately elbowing back and swinging. over. Like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I learned real
You're
quick
gonna
with Three
treat them like a
Brothers.
spider web that you just walked
Oh.
into. Just, you know.
Oh, I mean, I learned with Three Brothers. I learned with Three Brothers. I'm like, I know how to defend myself pretty fast.
Good. That'll
And
happen when you've got three. When you got three brothers, that'll happen.
they were 5 to 11 years older than me too, so I definitely learned.
Yeah.
Definitely learned. So,
Definitely. All right. Well, as we bring the podcast to a close here, is there anything that you kind of want to hit on before we finish off here?
mm, um, one thing I will say about the vision complications with competing and performing is because of the restrictions, I can't, and this is like a positive but a negative at the same time. I can't see in the audience. And so when I'm competing, I'm like, you're supposed to find your judges and make eye contact with them. I'm just like, I don't know where you're at. I'm just gonna like stare at everything as best as I can and pretend I'm staring at the judges. Um, those made it hard and like
Do you think you
it
lose points for that?
not really, not for the smaller competition. Probably for the bigger one, I might. I have to research that one a little bit more. But like the smaller ones, just they'll make comments like make sure to make eye contact with your judges and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm gonna forever get that. I'm always gonna get that. I'm just gonna go ahead and accept it because obviously they don't know that I have that condition. And
Mm-hmm.
even so, if I do, it's not valid for them.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
You should
but
let me know next time you've got a competition in the Atlanta area. I'll come out. Bring bring my family. We'll make a day out of it.
usually those are 2-day events. So be
Cool.
prepared for that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if
And
you
because
have like a will you have your what's it called? You're trying to like enter into the big competition next year, so you have like a competition to see if you make it, right?
mm-mm,
No.
mm-mm. Nope, that one for nationals anyone can apply and it's got the same thing like it has amateur level, elite level and professional level. I can go in as elite because elite means I do competitions, but I'm not pro level, which to their pro level is intense. I'll take elite. I can never go amateur because one, that's ethics for me. I'm not a fresh baby polar. I'm not going to do that. That's
Mm-hmm.
wrong. I can't do that. I have a conscience. Unlike some people in the world, I actually have a conscience, and I couldn't do that. So that one, there's no qualifications for. Is once I place in that category at nationals, is when I go overseas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's one of those. Now, the one that I told you about, Pole Sport Organization, the thing is with that one is that one's a little bit different. That's kind of where you're going at. It has regions. So, for example, PSO Triangle is in Cary, North Carolina, which is February next year. If I go in and do championship level 5 and I get first place, I go to PSO Nationals, which is usually in Florida around August time. And if I, you know, win, I can get money and stuff. So that
And
one
money is
does
good.
have, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, and plus, when you win first place in championship, you automatically get your entry into nationals. So you don't have to pay that. So you're going against 15 competitors in nationals
Mm-hmm.
for championship. So I'm like, I'm good with not going to nationals. I know my competition. I know my competitors. I know the territories. I'm good. I do competitions because I love it. I love the challenge because, like I told you earlier, we're automatically challenged automatically from the start of birth. But this challenge I chose. So I like this challenge.
And to overcome the
Um,
challenge too, this is a very rewarding feeling to
mm-hmm.
that, and then to
Oh,
do
yeah.
it on a consistent basis, there's something to it. It's the kind of like It sounds almost kind of like running a marathon or a half marathon in the sense that like there's a community aspect to it, but
Mhm.
everybody is also in a competition with each other, but they're also kind of competing with themselves, like trying to be the best version of themselves and trying to like outdo their past selves.
Yeah.
So like
And
a healthy competition.
yeah, and I always picked on like the reason why I did competitions and why I got so big into them is because when I was teaching all the time, and I mean, I was teaching 6 days a week. Like I was hardcore going hard for 6 days a week teaching students. And I was no longer a student. So I wasn't challenging myself. So I was like, you know what? Competitions, I have to train them. I have to work on my piece. I have to learn new stuff. So I had to pretty much learn how to train myself and challenge myself. And now I'm operating my own studio with my own schedule. I'm able to be a student again, and I'm a student in other aerial arts now. So I'm doing lyra, silk, sling, all that stuff. And I love my instructors out here who I've become really close with. They all know I have nystagmus. So they're like, okay, this is going to be a fun challenge. And they see how, because of pole, I learned how to work my apparatus pretty well
Right.
with my vision restrictions that I've taken like onto lyra naturally, sling and silks. A little challenging still, but they can see that like you're very physical, like you have to feel it to understand the move. And I'll watch them like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, do it again, do it again, do it again. So I could like really watch where their body's going. So when I'm going into the move, I'm like, okay, hip, hip, there we go. We're in the hip. We're good. We're good.
Just try to memorize it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it
But
sounds
yeah.
like me at like any job that I've ever had, just having somebody repeat something 1,000 times until I know it,
And see,
from my
I
head.
did. And the funny thing is I used to do car rental and work in a car dealership for many, many years. And, you know, they were like, hey, and I was like, nope, not gonna move that truck. Nope, not gonna move that 15 passenger van. We're not moving. Nope, I'm not moving those vehicles today for y'all. And working in the bank was like freaking easy with the vision because I'm like, computer, cool. License, cool. Does it match you? Yes, we're good. Like it was so much easier. The same thing with rental. Your license matches your face. We're good. There you go. So
Fair enough. Fair
those were good.
enough.
Those are good jobs for vision restrictions, in my opinion. If you don't have to move a vehicle and you can write the contract and see damage on a vehicle, easy. Banking, I loved banking, but I had to get out of it.
Yeah. Why? Why do you have to get? Just
Well, I
didn't
mean,
want to be there anymore.
yeah, I was the drive-through teller, so I got stuck in the window. So everyone who came through the drive-through were automatically clients, so I didn't have to worry about as much fraud. But that's where the other kind of reason why I kind of got in the pole is I gained weight too much because I was too stationary.
Mm.
I'm very moving person. Like when I did rental, I was outside cleaning cars. I was picking people up. I was doing contracts. I was running a branch of 100 cars by myself during the summertime. Like I was on the go. And so my personality is on the go. So that's why I only work 3 days a week at the office because I'm like, I can't sit here. You
I
want me to
see.
go get food? I'm out. You want me to go to the bank? I'm out.
You don't want to
You
sit
need me to
still.
go somewhere? I can't. I did it for too long. I gained the weight, had complications. So I was like, I'm out.
Well, now you can't gain weight doing your job. It'd be pretty tough unless it's muscle.
Yeah, I was like, someone's like, ah, I was like, muscle. If you look at a scale and it says 170, see how much of it's actually fat, how much is muscle. It's going to weigh the same, but it's going to look different.
Yeah.
I was like, go for BMI, people. BMI, BMI. Body mass index. Go for that. So, but yeah.
All right. Well, Kitty, I'm going to bring this episode to a close here. I
Okay.
appreciate you joining me. I thought this was a great episode.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity coming on and talking about the challenges of nystagmus and from childhood to adulthood and
People
everything
thinking you're on
else.
meth and
Ugh,
coke. Just the
I'm on
usual.
Coca-Cola. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm on Monster. That's really what you're on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. So,
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody who's made it this far and is still listening. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, leave a comment, do all that fun stuff. All right. I give the same spiel. I give the same
yeah.
spiel every time. I have COVID right now. I don't want to give the spiel right now.
Yeah.
Just do this stuff. Thank you.